Hello, welcome to the Fairy Whispering podcast. I'm your host, Claire Casely, and I have a wonderful guest today that I've been longing to speak to for a long time. We've been trying to talk on the podcast, and my guest is Nicky Mendham. She's a quantum human design specialist and transformational coach who lives in beautiful Cornwall, and her website is soulseducation.com. I'll put the link in the notes for the show. Nicky offers coaching that helps people to move from frustration to freedom, quantum human design readings, and she'll tell us a bit more about what that is in a moment. Relationship remedy to help people to create meaningful relationships, and she's also a Reiki and Sakim master. And I invited Nicky on the podcast because she used to live on Dartmoor and has had lots of paranormal experiences there with giants, dragons, elementals, and galactic beings. And she is the guardian of a portal. So welcome, Nicky. I can't wait to chat to you.
Thank you very
How are
much. I'm
you?
so excited to be here.
Yeah.
I'm really quite buzzing this morning. So
Oh,
yeah, let's see what comes
fabulous.
out.
Yeah, let's see what comes out. And before we start, I was guided to pull a card for this.
Oh,
Um,
great.
Sometimes
Brilliant.
I do that because I thought it might be nice to involve the fairies.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
I've got these. I don't know if you'll be able to see it on here. These cards,
Oh, nice.
which are fairy magic message cards by Sharon McLeod.
Ah,
So let's just pull a card I just thought as a little doorway into today.
hmm.
Oh, the elderflower mother, which oh, might have to put it up. I'll put it up as a picture later. So she says, always ask permission from the elderflower mother before you take from medicinal elderflower tree. The elderflower mother commands respect in exchange for healing and protection. Respect yourself and others will respect you. Ask for healing and thank the fairies in return. Remember to exchange energy. And if it's just a hug, even if it's just a hug or a thank you, and the affirmation is I am protected, I love, honor, and respect myself.
Hmm. How beautiful.
Yeah, that's wonderful, isn't it? A lovely message. Thank you, fairies.
Yeah.
So um, tell us a little bit more, about you and your background, and before we move on to talking about your experiences, which I'm looking forward to.
Yeah. Oh God, where do I start? Oh, well, it's interesting because I've just had my 49th birthday. And I'm just
Yeah.
about to come into my Chiron return in May, which is the wounded
Mm,
healer.
mhm.
So there's lots of things that are coming up for me, and it's really taken me back over the years that I've been doing this work, and it reminds me of when I first really recognized that I wasn't just a physical form. There was one summer holiday where my arms had got burnt,
Oh, right.
and
Yeah.
it was a really hot summer time, and when the burn disappeared, there was 7 little moles on my arm that appeared, and I instantly connected with the 7 sisters. I didn't know about Pleiadian energy at that point, but I just went,
Okay.
oh, home.
Yeah.
And I
Mm.
recognized that to be home. So from that point, really, I've had
Wow.
different experiences with various different types of entities, past lives, elementals,
Mhm.
um, Pleiadians working directly with them.
Mm.
Oh God, Galactic Federation, and it's something that I've easily been able to tap into. And what I've discovered through human design is um, human design is very much a body map of who you are. It's how you
Yes.
conduct your life.
Yeah.
To me, I think a design should be given to every mother that leaves the hospital with her child. It is your blueprint. It's your life and how you navigate it. And what I've discovered through my human design is that I'm part of a mutation that's moving us towards a love energy. And
Yes.
over the years, all of my work has been geared towards finding the love in other people, but also recognizing the dark. My work is very balanced. You can't have light without dark,
Yeah.
and the deeper you go into the dark, the more light you can radiate. So a lot of my work has been around finding that balance, finding the communion within yourself first and foremost, before you can then extend that to the wider community and invite other people into your lives.
Mm. Yeah, that resonates about, you know, that self-work, isn't it? To,
Mm.
really delve deep
Mm.
and, which is something we all do at various points in our lives or have the opportunity to do, don't we?
Yeah,
And some of us
yeah,
go deeper than others and and some of us choose not to, and it's all okay.
yeah.
But
And I would add to that as well, what I've discovered through human design is we're like locks and keys. And until a key comes and turns that lock in us, we have no opportunity to take ourselves to the next level anyway. It's always to do with increments, and
yes.
um, depending on how in touch you are with yourself at the moment that that key comes along determines whether you walk through the door or whether you stay looking at the door. And
Mm.
so there are various opportunities that we have in our lives. And sometimes I find that a lot of my clients get frustrated. They're like, why am I not getting this? And there's a simple answer: you're not meant to yet. If I think about, I had a 20-year career in banking. I used to be a regional manager for a bank. I was completely, engrossed in that environment. And what I've realized is over a period of time, if I knew then what I know now, my nervous system would have been fried, completely fried. So
Yeah.
it's an unfolding. If you can see life as an unfolding, it's a beautiful way of experiencing
Yeah.
it. And it comes with ups and downs and sideways and all kinds of roller coasters. But if you can stick with the unfolding, then you can really
Mm.
experience life, I find, in a really beautiful way.
I was talking about this the other day on I belong to Craig Whitewood Cairns Quantum
Oh
Jumping,
yes, yeah.
and I've just recently spoken to him for my podcast, and I was saying, exactly that, you know, what would have happened with my life if I'd known all the things that I know now I'm 50 when
Yeah.
I was 20?
Yes.
But it probably would have been so overwhelming.
Mm. Yeah.
My little brain would have just
Yeah.
fried.
Yeah.
So
Um,
yeah,
yeah.
interesting.
We're actually designed to come into our maturity at our Chiron return at
Right.
49, 50, around about that time.
Yeah.
And of course, the Western world teaches us, you're 18, you're an adult now.
Hmm.
Well, yeah, technically, physically, but not emotionally, mentally, spiritually. We can't be. We have certain rites of passage, and I certainly know that through being a Reiki master and working with the chakra system. I mean, it's so intertwined with our psychology, with our emotional states. I mean, I kind of see it as like Russian dolls. There's always the
Yes.
next doll to be revealed out of it. So,
Yeah, it's ongoing, isn't it? And like you say, with
mm,
any of these modalities that, these learnings, it's all an ongoing process and it's all
mm,
intertwined with our lives. I remember when I started doing my coaching training and I couldn't continue because I had all of a sudden with, as you know, with like coaching or anything that you're working with, it'll bring up
all it,
stuff
yeah,
in your
yeah,
life. And I
yeah,
had this big like life thing going on and I was getting really frustrated and bitter about it. And then, people in my coaching course and my mentor said to me, well, Claire, this is part of it. And then I was like, oh yeah, this is part of it. I cannot separate my life, what's happening in my life with
Yeah.
doing what I'm doing, what I'm learning.
Yeah.
It's yeah,
Yes.
it's all
Yeah.
part of the process. Yeah,
Yeah.
fascinating.
And the deeper that you go as a coach in yourself, and the deeper that you go as a Reiki master and Sikhi master, or whatever it is that whatever your modality is, you can only take your clients as deep as you're willing to go yourself. So
Mm,
to me, it's I see it personally as it's my duty to evolve and keep digging. I have in my human design, I have a first line energy, which is an investigator. So I really dig deep, and we dig deep as investigators. We dig deep into whatever it is that we're investigating, and in this lifetime I chose the human form. So I'm digging deep into the psychology, I'm digging deep into the emotional states, and that comes through many different modalities for me. I mean,
mm,
when somebody books a human design reading, they're also getting Reiki. When somebody books a Reiki healing, they're also getting introspection from human design. I'm also an ancestral trauma tracker,
mhm,
and have a shamanic practice as well. So I found that I pull on lots of past life
mhm.
experiences and I'm pooling it all together in this lifetime. So
Yeah, and sorry, just going back to what you were saying about being a mutation moving towards a love energy.
mm,
I'm just interested, is that connected with, um, do you feel that you have connections with other beings, perhaps, galactic beings or with fairy beings? 'Cause I've spoken to, including myself, I've spoken to people
mm,
that have this feeling that they have come, before they were on Earth in this life,
mhm,
but they came
mhm,
from somewhere else, either fairy realm or
mhm.
anywhere in the cosmos. Is that something? Is that what you're meaning by that? This being this, or
Sorry, could you repeat that again? I didn't quite.
this, what you said about, you said you were a mutation moving
Oh yeah,
to love energy,
yeah.
and I
From the
thought,
human design,
yeah,
it's interesting because we according to human design, we're coming to the end of a 411-year transit.
mm,
And we can see that in the world around us. Things are crumbling, things are breaking down, and of
mm,
course, if you look at the tarot, you have to have the chaos and the tower before you can then take that leap of faith to the next step. So this is the big shaking up, and we came into the last section of this in the 60s. And so the mutation is to occur in 2027.
oh, I see.
And
Okay.
we use our emotions as a motor, so it
Mm,
drives us. If you think about the highs and the lows that you have, and how drained you are when you're feeling emotional, or how ecstatic you are when you're experiencing joy and excitement.
mm,
The new children that are due to come in the new era beyond 2027, and I'm not saying that this is going to be overnight, this will be an unfolding, but we're heading more towards a love energy. We're leaving this three-dimensional being behind, and we're getting an upgrade on our bodies. The last time
mm.
we had an upgrade was 1781. And so we're getting another upgrade, and we're moving from being nine-centered beings to 11-centered beings. And interestingly, the new children are going to have centers in their palms.
Oh, right.
Now, I've seen in
Oh,
meditation when I was up on Dartmoor at that
mm,
time that we would have that love would be tangible, and and I
yes.
and I still can't wrap my head around that. But it was
Mm,
almost as though you could feel love, and I believe it's these children that are coming,
mm,
that we're going to be able to actually feel them. It will be a
mm,
physical experience for us when we're in their energy. And so my role in this lifetime is to be a bridge, because I've experienced this in energies that haven't been particularly supported of me. That I've lived around very toxic energy, and I think that's been a process for me to learn about the
Yes.
difference between love and hate, or
Yeah.
love and
Mm.
fear. Actually, it's not so much hate. Hate is part of it, but it's a case of love or fear. And I recall being in ceremony in a circle, and the elementals were with me. My giant friend was there with me,
Oh, yes.
and I have a guide, a horse guide, and we a portal opened, and I was asked to commune with the Galactic Federation. And
Mm.
so I did. And at that time, there was an exchange of energy, which I found really interesting that you were talking about right at the very beginning about that exchange of energy.
Yes.
So I always check with my guide, is this okay to exchange? So, and they just wanted to feel my human form in exchange for a scroll. So I thought, okay,
Oh,
great.
okay.
I've got a map. This is
Yeah.
fantastic.
Yeah.
When I came back down to my circle, I started unrolling this scroll, and there was nothing on it. And I
Mm.
went, oh, I've been fiddled here. That was my first thought. That was my human thought.
Yeah.
And then I realized, actually, this is a blank canvas. From this point on, you get to write your future. And
Yes.
that came with a whole sense of excitement and a whole sense of dread as well,
Yeah.
because suddenly the reality of you are responsible
Mm.
for everything that you create in your life.
Mm-hmm.
You're responsible for it, and that felt huge. And
Yeah.
that took me a good 6 months to get over that realization that, wow,
Mm.
every thought, every feeling, every experience, every action, every word creates what's to come before me. So,
Yes. And that goes back to this idea of well, in mediumship, it's called traversing your timeline and being able to go back to your past and
mm,
travel to your future and things. And that
mhm,
we have these choices, and that yeah, and that process shows you that.
yeah.
Um, but I wanted to just go back to that what you were just talking about, because there's a few things there that you mentioned. The giant. I'd
Hmm.
like to know about him.
Yeah.
Um, and we'll talk a bit about portals as well for
Yeah.
people that are not used to experiencing portals and what they're about. So could you tell
Yeah.
me about this giant and who he is and how you first encountered him and where and when, etc.? Yeah.
Yeah. What I find is, depending on the work that I'm doing, various
Mm,
different types of energies or entities, whatever you want to call them, will appear. And I was guided to physically live on Dartmoor next to a stone circle. And I find myself in there meditating quite a bit, doing Reiki. I used to take some of my clients to practice Reiki, and they had some profound healing in there.
mm,
And so what I experienced by physically sitting there is that I could connect to this energy from anywhere. And suddenly I could see myself as part of a grid. So what I experienced when I was in this energy was that I was almost as though I was the key to the door.
yeah.
So when I would turn up, what I first started realizing is that I could use the infinity symbol. So I
Yeah.
would sit in the portal, I would be in the center, and I would run the infinity symbol just on 2D first. It started appearing to me.
Mm,
So I would wrap it around, and I would watch it. I would follow it, and sometimes it would be really quite a fast energy, and sometimes it would be a slow energy. But I'd follow this infinity round. And then on the 8th of August, oh God, 2018, I think it was, we were at the Lionsgate portal, the 8th
oh
of
yeah.
August.
Yeah. Yeah. Mm,
And I took what I'd experienced in this portal down to Cornwall. We were going to go to St Michael's Mount at Mara's Iron, which is close to where I live now. I live in Penzance. So I've really
Yes.
been drawn there. But we were due to do a meditation there, but it was absolutely throwing it down. So we went to a
Mhm.
friend's house, and we were sitting in her room, and I started opening this portal with
Mm.
this infinity symbol connecting in, and it was almost as though this tablet just dropped in front of us. It was like a physical form of, there
Wow.
we go, there's your next steps.
Gosh, I
And I
was.
was like, wow, okay. So then we carried on, and suddenly this infinity symbol started looping back over itself. And
Uh-huh.
it created, I didn't know what it was at the time, but it
Mm.
created a Taurus.
Yes.
This is
Yeah.
this is our own heart energy. So I then started seeing symbols of pole flips. I started seeing different Reiki symbols that were coming through, but I didn't know about Sikkim healing at that point,
Mm.
which is a higher vibration of energy, but through the modality of Yushui Reiki, which is what I'd originally trained in.
Yes. Yeah.
And with that came this blue ray. So I didn't know anything about blue ray, Sikkim healing, symbols, or anything like that. But I've got it in this tablet form. There it is, sitting in
Wow.
front of me, all of these symbols. And all of a sudden, my third eye opened, and I was being called to attune the other people in the room to this higher vibration.
Wow. Yeah.
And I kept checking in with my guides: is this okay? And so with that, everybody was attuned, and then I was then later kind of guided towards books and references, and I'm going, oh my god, this is
Mm.
this energy. And what I realized with this particular portal is I can use it anywhere, but when I open up in this particular portal in on Dartmoor, I then transport to Giza, and I'm in the
Oh,
King's Chamber.
okay.
And
Yeah.
so the Blu-ray healing, I believe, is Pleiadian. I have a deep connection with Pleiadian energy. I've never really wanted to investigate other people's versions of that.
No.
Um, I haven't read up about Pleiadian energy. I just know that it is. It's a
Yeah.
deep knowing within
That's right.
myself.
Yeah.
And what I've discovered through my lifetime is when I know what I know and I can't unknow it, then that's my truth. If it's absolutely
Yes.
solid, just like that tablet.
Yeah. I understand that because I'm very much like that, even though, as a researcher and having an interest in fairies,
Mm,
um, take that on board, but always go, yeah, it's always best to go with your own truth, isn't it, of
yes,
something.
yes.
And yeah, I'm interested in the Pleiades because I definitely have some connections, a connection from
Hmm.
past life to them
Yeah, yeah.
through, I was told a few years ago by a past life person that I was talking to that I was one of the priestesses at Dodona,
Hmm.
Greece, one of the oracles there, and they were connected to the Pleiades.
Yeah.
So yeah, I do feel there's something there, and like you say, I don't really go by what's online. I just go by,
Mm,
well, this is how I see it, how I experience it.
yes,
So
yeah,
um,
yeah. Very important. Very important to be connected with the self, because
yeah,
I knew at 7 years old, when that set of moles appeared on my arm, that I wasn't of this earth. I mean, yeah,
yeah,
I was very aware that I had a physical body, but I really experienced myself out of myself. Um,
mm,
and so now, this energy is really quite strong. So I've incorporated it into my healing practice. So
wow,
um, you
mm,
know, Reiki, Ushui Reiki, Sikkim, or Blue Ray, depending on how I feel when I meet the person. I'm pretty nondescript about what it is that they'll receive until I'm in that person's energy, and I'll get to
mm,
experience, where they can go with it, which is the most appropriate, because we
mm,
have to be very careful about the nervous system. And the body, what we want is not always what we need. And so I'm very much based on connecting with the body, the frequency of the body that I'm working with. And sometimes the mind can get a little bit upset with that, and the ego can step in, and it can have some arguments about where it believes it's at compared to where the body is at. But ultimately, it's the body that's moving through time and space. We're three-dimensional beings. We're governed by time and space, and so we have to create an environment for the body that has the least amount of resistance.
Mm.
And for me to start poking around and delving in and giving blue ray healing, which is a really high vibration, to somebody who is just starting on their journey, is deeply detrimental. But of course, people quite often who are just starting on their journey are going, yeah, give me everything. This is amazing. We're like kids in a candy shop, aren't we? But, we don't know that that sugar hit is just going to keep us awake for 5 days. So we need a parent to go, hang on a minute, let's just one sweet at a time, And so I see myself as that parent, as that guide. But going back to the portals,
Yes.
now it's as instant as being able to just turn up, connect, and it's almost as though I get in a lift and I can dial to wherever it is that I want to go. And the places that I've been are just absolutely outstanding, beautiful. The sense,
Mm.
I mean, my heart's opening as I'm talking about it.
Yeah.
It's amazing. And the giant started appearing.
Yes, I'd like to know about
Probably,
him. Yeah.
I don't know his name. I never ask names. I don't know
Yeah.
why. I should maybe ask for names, but he's always, I think I know why I don't ask for names, because it's an identity. And even though I identify as him as a giant, I can physically see him as a giant, but his energy is of protection. That's what he represents to me.
Right. Yes.
So when I'm working with an entity, even though they may present in physical form something that I can maybe understand, I'm always checking in, a little bit deeper. Again, that's my first line, human design energy. I want to know a little bit more about, what are you actually about? I can see what you're showing me as your identity, but what's your essence?
Mm.
What are you here to offer me? Because I'm about to open up to you. So what's the exchange? There's got to be a deal going on here. And so he's been extremely protective. He's very witty. He likes to fling me around, which is great fun. He sees me as this little doll that he can kind of fling on his shoulder, and we go off on adventures. And it's funny because sometimes I find myself delving back into that realm and talking about it. I'm just hearing myself talking about this, and I have a deeply grounded practice.
Yeah.
And some people that don't know all sides of my work, they just see me
Mm.
as the human design coach person that's very
Mm.
grounded in her practice, that doesn't know about the healing side, and the
Mhm.
angels and the fairies, and the galactic beings. you know Sometimes they kind of go, has she lost it? Has she really lost it? And for a lot of
Yeah.
years I went through that process of,
Mm.
have I really lost the plot here? But
Mm.
when you have so many things confirmed in your life as a result of the experiences that you've had in this realm, and who knows, is it our mind? Are we all self-contained? Are you a projection of my mind right now? Am I actually speaking to myself? We can go all over with this.
Yes. Yeah.
But
It's it
what I
fast.
found is the most
Yeah. Sorry.
important thing is to work with the feelings. What feelings does it stir up for you? Because that's our creative center. That's what takes us through this life.
Yeah. And I mean, yeah, for people like us, the people listening to this will feel connected, other people won't. Um,
Mm.
but when you're used to talking in this way, it's just, well, it's just normal, isn't it? And that's,
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
it's only present day culture and ideals and all of that that kind of become a barrier
yeah,
for people.
yeah, yeah,
Um, but
yeah.
going back to that, I thought, well, that's interesting that you live near St. Michael's Mount, and I'm wondering
Mm.
whether that giant was connected with that or
Yeah,
with Dartmoor, or I mean, there's giant stories about Dartmoor, aren't there, and Cornwall.
yeah.
But I wonder if he's to do with St. Michael's Mount in
He's
some
very
way.
much connected to the land at Dartmoor.
Mm,
Um, he can travel with me to St Michael's Mount, but his home is I'm getting his home is
yeah.
on Dartmoor.
Oh,
It's a much
fabulous.
more grounded energy up there. It's the veil is very thin, very
Yes,
thin.
it
I've
is.
seen and there are, I experience a lot more elementals up on Dartmoor.
Yeah.
It's more earthy energy.
Mm,
Um, St Michael's Mount, I experience as more mystical. I've done a lot more work with Reiki in Cornwall. I was attuned to Reiki in Cornwall. Um, yeah, I've got more of a connection to Reiki in Cornwall and more of a connection to the elementals. But that's not to say that I can't connect to them from I mean, I'm actually in West Yorkshire at the moment,
yeah.
but
Yeah.
you know, right now I can
Yeah.
feel the energies coming to me as I'm speaking about them. So I
Yeah.
do have a connection. But if I really if I want to experience what I would consider almost a physical, tangible connection, I would have to be there.
Yes.
Although saying that, I mean, I have had experiences before where I've been in a completely different place to Dartmoor, sitting on a bed, physically knowing that I'm in a room, you know, whilst in meditation, I can feel the room that I'm in, but also feeling the energy of being in the stone circle on Dartmoor, and I can feel the damp on my face. I can feel that I'm sitting there and it's wet on my bottom. And also at the same time, and that's been very physical for me, but also at the same time being in Egypt on a pyramid, feeling the dry heat and the sand on my face.
Mm.
So I've experienced times where I have had a physical sensation of all three environments all at the same time.
Yeah,
And
that's
I
really
think,
sorry, carry on.
yeah,
Yeah.
and I think it kind of takes, I think you have to, I mean, like I say, with my energy, I'm what's called a quadrite in human terms. It's this mutation form, and we're extremely open. We're very
Mm.
open. We're taking in on all levels, and we bury that information deep within us. There's so much for us to be processing. We have a complete peripheral view. We're not focused. So this is why whenever I do a podcast, when I'm invited to do podcasts, I have no idea what's going to come out of my mouth because I connect with you, and it's down to your level of consciousness that pulls out that level of experience in me. So the fact that
Yeah.
you know about angels and sorry,
Mm.
fairies and elementals, that side of me is going to be drawn out.
Yeah, and I understand what you say about connecting to place because that's something I do with my work with fairies,
Mm,
creativity. Um, Once you've been to, actually, you don't actually have to have been to a place. You can connect remotely to a place, can't you? But
yes, yeah,
if you've
yeah.
been to a place and then it's building that reciprocal relationship to it. So like with you,
Hmm.
um, going back to a place time and again, and this is something anybody that's listening can do. You can,
Mm,
if you've got a favorite place that in nature that you can get to, or even a tree or um, any sort or a park, you can connect with that place
yeah,
and
yeah.
you can ask permission to access
Mm,
the beings in that place that want to work with you, and then returning again, or physically going back, and then after a time that place would be, so like you say, it'd be so much part of your consciousness, your vibration, that
mm,
at will, at any time when you're wherever you are in the world, you could say, make the intention and be
yeah,
in that
yeah,
place again and work with
yeah.
it. So yeah, that's something I do, and I know people that are listening that have had shamanic experience
Mm.
will understand. But
Yeah, and I
yeah,
find as well that a lot of people that can experience this can also do it in different times. I've never physically been to the King's Chamber at the within the Great Pyramid,
mm,
but I can connect to it, and I know that I'm in there, and I know that I'm connecting to past lives that have actually physically been in there. And what I found is people who have the ability to do this in human design terms, to be able to switch timelines and dimensions quite easily, is it's something that's quite innate in them. Tend to be, from a human design point, what are called projectors. There are 4 different energy types that we talk about, and
right.
the quadrite is leaning towards being the 5th. So we're, like I say, going back to this mutation that's about to happen in 2027. We're no longer going to use our emotions as the motor. It's going to be an awareness center. So autism is part of that mutation at the moment. We find children that are very, to us, they appear to be very neutral in their emotions, and that's quite disturbing to us as people who are emotional. But it's part of this mutation. I worked with adults with learning difficulties for a few years, in
Mm,
particular autism, and I found them fascinating, absolutely amazing people to work with, amazing beings, wonderful souls. And they really recognize, if you're in your fear, they know it. They really know it. And they will
mm,
act up. They don't know how to generally express that. But if they're in an energy of fear, they don't know what to do, and they will push against it. And I think what's going to happen with these children is, I think we're going to go through a period of learning with them, because if if the parents are in their fear and this child can only be around love, that's going to be very, very difficult. There's going to be a huge disconnect between the child and the parents. And so I'm in the process at the moment of trying to really get to know myself from my point of view mutation, because I found childhood extremely painful. My parents are still very much in their fear. Um, but as a child, interestingly, actually, my mum always used to say that I was a child of love. That's just come back to
oh,
me.
right.
And it is. It's I when I'm in the
Mm,
energy of somebody who is self-loathing, I find it deeply distressing. I really have to. I can't spend too much time there. And so when I work with people, I have to be very, very select around who I can spend my time with, who I can coach and guide, because there really has to be a willingness to move forward, to help them release this fear from them. And we do that in a body way. Like I say, I'm a trauma tracker, so I use muscle testing and kinesiology to find
mm,
fear held in bodies, and help to release that. And it's moving us more and more towards love. I mean, we're experiencing it on the planet right now. In
yes,
our community,
definitely.
there's a
Mm,
whole rising of love,
yeah.
and this will support these new children in 2027, because they're happening whether we like it or not, and we have
Mm.
to get ready for these new seeds. You know.
Yeah, that does interest me. I mean, I consider myself to be on the spectrum, and that's only something that I've learned through a difficult childhood, not
Mm,
feeling like I fitted in at school at
mhm.
all.
Yeah,
And my daughter is on the autistic spectrum,
yeah,
and other people in my family as well. So I've learned a lot about myself
yeah.
through my daughter. I'm actually thinking of I'm going to do an episode about this, about being on the spectrum and
Ah,
spiritually, spiritual connection and all of those
yeah,
things.
yeah.
I know some amazing people that really champion this.
Oh, and I
Yeah.
if you don't mind, I'd like to offer to do yours and your daughter's chart, to
Oh,
see if there are any
nice.
similarities in the design, because this is something that
Yeah,
I'm really, really wanting to research.
that'd be interesting. Yeah. I mean, yeah, I'd be interested in that.
Yeah, we
And
can talk
thank
about that
you.
later.
Yeah,
Yeah.
thank you. We'll talk about it later because yeah, growing up, mean, apart from, I mean, part of what makes sense to me as well is, or how maybe how I made sense of some of it was
Mm,
thinking, well, I'm not from this earth.
mhm,
So that's part of it. I think that it's a truth, you know, that
mhm.
I have come from somewhere else.
Yeah.
um, I've come from the fairy dimension. Perhaps part of me has come from the Pleiades, but then there's the spectrum way of what
Mm.
it's the way it's a label, isn't it? It's the way it's framed, a
Yeah.
different way of seeing
Yeah.
things
Yeah.
than
Yeah.
whatever the norm is.
Yeah, and what I experience is that, you know, we live in a very left dominated world. It's all about strategy. If you look at our school
Yeah.
system as a prime example, there is a set curriculum, and you will learn it in a certain way, and you will and we're going to tell you what it is that you need to know. And there's no room to challenge that or experience something different. And being a quad right, which is what I am, this mutation, you know, I can only learn through my experiences. You can sit there and tell me something over and over and over and over and over again, but unless I'm involved in the experimentation of that, I won't pick it up. But once I've been in it, I can't leave that alone. You know, that is in me forever, and you'll be able to pull that out in 50 years time. I'll be able to tell you verbatim what it is that I learned.
Hmm.
But give me something strategic, and I can't do it. So at school I always got, you're daydreaming. Well,
Oh
yeah,
yes. Yeah. Mm.
I can't be in this realm for too long,
Mm.
um because it's deeply deeply painful to me. You know, I'm a child, as my mum says, I'm a child of love. That's my energy, and I can't switch that off. And as I say, this is this is the new wave. This is the new seed of energy that's coming through onto
Mm.
this planet, and we're we're getting an upgrade as human beings. Well, the new energies that are coming through are getting an upgrade on their energy, so that means that they're going to be vulnerable for a while, and they're going to need people who can understand what it's like to be in a school system that is very left brained. When you're a right brained person, right is
Yeah.
receptivity. We're like
Mm.
sponges. You know,
Mhm.
even now I have to be very, very careful. And this is why I don't research what other people are saying about Pleiadians, what other people are. I mean, I've never picked up a fairy book, I've never picked up a book about giants, because I don't want to know what other
Mm.
people's version is, because that goes in deeply and it
Yes.
stays there. I can't get that out. It takes me a lot of work and energy and effort to get that out. So I'd rather just sit with my own experience of it, and kind of block everybody else's out.
Yeah, that's a good way. I mean, from experience of now writing a book about fairies, I think that some things I wish I hadn't read.
Yeah, yeah,
So you think, oh, but that contradicts that person's theory.
yeah,
And you're
yeah.
like, no, Claire, come back to your heart. Come back to your heart.
That's it. Yeah. And when you're working from your heart, you're working from your truth.
Yeah.
And your truth is unwaverable. You know, this is what human design teaches. It's a way to, it's an esoteric system that teaches you how to align with your heart. It teaches you to align with your true essence, and when that happens, you know, your life changes for the better, your health changes for the better. You know, we're moving through time and space more streamlined. You know, when we're not getting caught up in all of these negative emotions and negative feelings and negative thoughts. You know, it kind of it sends you in the right direction. And you know, it takes a while, it takes dedication, you know, and it's not for the faint hearted, because it will disrupt your life. It will. It can't not, if you're in a conditioned state. And some people, I mean, I'm a late bloomer. I was always told, actually, you're going to be a late bloomer, and my gifts really don't come out until my Chiron return, which is in May this year. I have a lot
Yeah.
of energies that are going to really be presented. They're going to be served up on a platter, and and I'm really interested to find out what that's going to be about. But
Yeah.
I'm really about to step into the next phase of where my work is taking me. So, and I feel
Really
as though it's
exciting.
heading towards supporting these new children that are coming in.
Oh, that's really exciting. Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? This sort of time of life. I
Mm,
feel that, it takes a while to understand who we are and what we're about
yeah,
while we're here. And that's definitely the shift that I've been going through in the last
yeah,
year or so, and
mm,
build up to being 50 and a little bit before that. I look back and think, oh yeah, that's what that was all about. And
yeah,
now I know, it's like looking back and thinking, well, maybe 10 years ago I wouldn't have thought about doing a podcast, or I wouldn't have
mm,
thought of doing this or that. But now it's like I just let's just do it sort of thing.
yeah, yeah,
It's part of my
yeah,
purpose. So
yeah.
yeah, I'd like
And that's the
yeah,
truth when you're living to your purpose, when you're living to your truth. And
yeah,
human design shows you all of your purpose, and it shows you which direction you're meant to be going. And it when you're living your truth, it just comes out of you. You just follow the energy. You can't, it's almost as though you find yourself in these situations and you're like, how on earth did I end up here? you
yeah.
know and life just starts unfolding all around you, and you just have to turn up and be there, be present.
Mm.
And when we take the mind out of our decision making, Westerners, the Western world is all mind led. I think I'm going to do this, that sounds like it's going to be a good idea. No, no, like a big record scratch. Stop the record. Stop, keep going around the wheel. It's about really tapping into the body, listen to what the body has to say. And 50% of the population are designed to wait a period of time. There's no clarity in the moment for making decisions. There's
Yeah.
even 1% of people on the planet that are supposed to wait 28 days before making a decision.
Oh, really?
They have to experience
Oh,
all of the energies around them because they're so open in their design that they have to wait 28 days before making a decision. Yet we're in a Western world that's left brain led, that
yeah.
goes, if you want to buy something at a discount, you've got to press the button now.
Yeah, it's all about, it
And
is
so
very much that.
it's
Yeah.
fear driven
Mm,
marketing, and that's what keeps us in this cycle of fear and cortisol and sex hormones. And we can't release those endorphins, because especially people who are designed to wait a period of time to make their decisions, they're caught in this trap of, I've got to do it now, I've got to it's got to be instant.
mm,
It really doesn't. And by knowing your design, it helps you to relax the body when it gives you permission to be you. And I was actually drawn to human design from being in the portal. It was the portal that opened human design up to me.
oh, right. So that's really interesting. So you went in and you retrieved this
Yeah,
information.
yeah. I
Fabulous.
started seeing 64 pointed stars, geometry, and
Oh,
lots of geometric shapes. I think the dragon was there on this occasion.
yeah.
Everybody turns up at different times.
Yeah, I'd like to hear
So
about the
there's a bit of a
dragon.
dragon energy.
Yeah.
Oh, I know why there's a dragon energy connected to this. That makes sense. Um, it's a layered system, and part of it is the I Ching, which is probably why
Right.
the dragon turned up. Yeah, I'm just realizing now. I'm
Oh,
putting it all together. And on that occasion, and a few occasions after that as well, I kept seeing this 64 pointed star, and I'm like, what's this all about? I don't get it. And so I went online and Googled 64 points, 64 pointed
yeah.
stars, and
Just
it
gonna
came
write
up
that
with the I
down.
Ching.
Yeah.
And then from there, it came up with human design. And I saw the body graph and I went, oh, I know this system. I know it
Oh, you
because
recognized it. Yeah.
it's Western. So it's a combination of Western astrology, the I Ching, the 64 gates of the I Ching, which is the Chinese Book of Change. It's the Kabbalah, Judaic Kabbalah, and the pathways of that, and also the Hindu chakra system. and it works with the mind body, vehicle expression of us, and it works through quantum physics as well. So it's a whole layered system that teaches you how to be your authentic self. It teaches you how to come into your heart by deconditioning
Sounds very,
from this
wow.
Western world.
Sounds very, yeah, sounds really powerful. And
Mm.
I'll put some links in for this
Yeah,
chat so
thank you.
people can connect and see, read more about
Yeah,
you. And if they're interested, connect,
yeah, yeah,
you know,
yeah,
have their chart done with you. I see
yeah.
that you offer a free chart on your website as well.
Yeah, there's a free chart on the website, so you can run your own design. And there's also links there as well around human design, so you can actually have a read up about the different types of energies. So it gets you started.
Great.
And then if anybody wants to go deeper into that, and especially people who have a sense of feeling as though they don't belong, they don't fit in their skin, they've been called weird by their mates, and and their family, they feel rejected by their family, especially. I mean, that's certainly my experience of life. And until the point that I really claimed my authentic state, and now, whatever is to be said by friends and family that don't really get my work, I'm like, cool, you don't
Yeah,
get it, that's all right.
I think
That's not for
that's
you.
I think that's a good stage to get to. That's where I'm at now. I'm just,
Yeah,
well, everybody's entitled to their own opinion and all own way or perception
yeah,
of life.
yeah,
Yeah, I'm here to help people that are connected to what I do, just like you are,
yeah,
you know, attracting people that are connected to what you're doing.
yeah, yeah.
Um,
Yeah, so for anybody that's kind of feeling a little bit out of sorts, they don't feel as though they fit, they don't know what their purpose is. If there's any kind of confusion about who you are and the direction that you're going in, I'd certainly recommend a reading. There's coaching as well beyond that. So if you really want to start getting to work with this system, there's that. And then there's also the healing side of things as well. So I like to get people to a stage and then do a little bit of healing, because I believe it's a combination. In my Reiki practice, I got to a point where there was profound healing going on, but then with the healing, that brought another set of challenges. And quite often, so life is starting to align, but then things have to go by the wayside for you to align.
yes.
So there were potentials of, job changes, falling out with friends, allowing them to go with grace. And sometimes when we're afraid, when we get into that fear trap, we're like, oh God, I've got to hang on to my friends because I won't have anybody left, or I've got to hang on to this relationship, even though it's be deeply toxic. It's that fear of moving into the next space.
Mm,
So what I wanted to be able to do was give my clients, their own kind of manual to life, to how to navigate the way through. So in between our sessions, they could come to me for the healing, but then they also had a manual of how to manage their life while we weren't in session. And that became quite empowering for my
mm.
clients.
I can imagine it would be because it's like it's good to have that in between, isn't it? Because
Mm.
during a session, I know, you can take things on and then you leave the session and oh, that was great. And then a few days later, what was that all about? What am I supposed to be doing?
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah,
that's good that you have that in place.
yeah,
Yeah. I
yeah.
wanted to just go back
Mm,
before we sort of wrap up to
mm.
talk about your experiences on Dartmoor with elementals. I'm wondering, did you have any fairy experiences as well as the dragons and the giants? I mean, did you contact, connect with pixies? That's something that that's an energy, a fairy being that I've connected with and had experience of, or any
Yeah.
other types of fairies.
There were different types of energies. I'm going back now to what I've experienced. Definitely pixie energy. There's quite a bit of pixie energy up on Dartmoor, actually.
Yeah.
Quite mischievous.
Hmm.
And um I've experienced fawn energy, fairy energy, um And then there was a lot of energy coming in from Egypt as well. I experienced Ra, and Mary Magdalene used to appear quite a bit, and also angel energy. So it was a whole range of energies, and they felt very sprightly. The fairies felt it was
Yes.
it was very dependent on the work that I was doing. It was very dependent on the message that I was getting from the portal as to who would turn up. I've
Mm,
realized,
hmm.
if there was a little bit of fun was needed, but also a feeling of protection. It was that when I was feeling vulnerable and in a childlike state, then the giant would turn up. He was my protector, but he would also give me a bit of fun and, like I say, fling me on his shoulder. um and the fairies were very, how can I describe the fairy energy? Very delicate, very dainty, but also very solid as well, very grounded in themselves, but also very light. So I think the message that was coming from them was just be light.
Yeah.
Be
Oh,
be
definitely. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Be light but be grounded, be connected. You can't lose your connection, or you can't lose being grounded when you're connected, is kind of
Mm.
the message that came out from them.
And are your experiences mostly, you talk about feeling, sort of sensing with feelings, third
Yeah.
eye?
Yeah.
Have you
Yeah.
had any sort of auditory experiences, or is it mostly this third eye and feeling,
Yeah,
sensing?
I tend to get messages, but they're never physical, and when I see them, they're never physical. Although I did watch a gnome and a faun fighting over a piece of wood once.
Really?
I physically saw that on Dartmoor go on. Yeah, yeah, that was a physical feeling, but the majority of them, though, I see through my third eye.
Yeah.
Um, and I was working with somebody the other day, and we were working with leprechaun energy.
Yes, you sent me a note to say to remind you to talk about the leprechauns. So that'd be
Yeah,
great if you could talk
yeah.
about that.
One
Yeah.
of somebody that I know said to me, he said, "Oh, I feel as though I've got a bit of an attachment," and I said, "Let's scan your energy," and then instantly it started darting around. So
Mhm.
I thought, "Oh, okay, so this is pixie, or it's some type of mischievous energy, darting, darting, darting." I couldn't quite find him, and then all of a sudden it was, I offered him some honey. I don't know why honey came to me. I
Yeah.
offered him honey, and I don't know whether you remember the old mouse trap game. It had like a little plastic trap. It'd trap a mouse. It's like a kids game from years ago.
Yeah.
Anyway, it,
Yeah.
it was almost as though I'd put this pot of honey out, and he came, and he was trapped. And so I bear witness to what's happening. That's the way that the healing kind of comes out. I kind of watch what's going on, and I ask
Yeah.
questions of what's happening.
Mm.
So he was trapped in this mouse trap with the honey pot, and I was asking what needs to occur. And he said, "Well, I'm here for a purpose. I'm here to serve a purpose. You have to have a bit of mischief in your life." And I'm in complete agreement, because mischief and tension and negative experiences create growth in you. You can't have growth without a little bit of tension. So I was in full agreement with that. And I said, but what needs to happen here? Because there's a reason why you've been trapped. Your mischief has gone beyond just mischief. What happened? So what had happened was he's okay to, what the agreement that was arranged, or that we came to, was that he's allowed to be mischievous with digital equipment, cars, things like that, three-dimensional stuff, but not to attach to bodies.
Oh, I
So this
see.
was the
Yeah.
this was the whole
Mm.
conversation that was had. And then when I came back and relayed it to my friend, he went, "Oh my God," he said, "I was standing in a natural food store the other day, and he said, and suddenly I was drawn towards the honey. He said, I was looking at the honey thinking, why do I want honey? This isn't me looking at the honey. What's looking at the honey? And he said I was having that whole conversation with myself about I'm being drawn to this honey, and I went, oh, he's just being caught with honey.
Yeah.
So that's
They,
and he was having
oh,
this experience that this leprechaun energy was taking over his energy.
that's
So
so interesting. But yeah, because they are drawn to honey, and honey is one of the traditional gifts to offerings to give to
ah
fairies. And
I didn't know
yeah,
that. I didn't
yeah,
know that.
I had an experience where I had in my garden, I created a little fairy patch, and I have, I always collect seashells. I had some periwinkles, and I've got an oak tree opposite me,
Mm,
opposite the house on the estate, which I have connection to. And I thought I'll leave the fairies some honey in the tree.
mm,
I put some in the shell, and I put it in one of the little nooks in the tree.
mm.
And then a couple of days later, the shell reappeared in my garden. So it was like, oh, we've had the honey.
Yes, yes.
It's
Thank you very
shocking.
much.
Thank you
I
very
want a top up
much.
now.
Yeah, top up. It's like the takeaway honey shop, you know.
Yeah, I must
Very
admit, I've
interesting.
lost jewelry to fairies. I've been
Have you?
instructed by fairy energy to leave one of my best necklaces actually. That was a lesson in attachment actually for me.
Mm.
I had a beautiful necklace with oh, I think it was a moonstone in it. Really beautiful. I loved it.
Oh, they'd love that.
Actually,
Mm.
now that I can't remember it, then I think I've learnt my lesson on attachment. I have let that go because I can't even remember what it was. I'm pretty sure it was a moonstone. And I was guided to a beech tree on Dartmoor, and I was asked to leave it for the fairies. And so I left it, and I remember thinking, oh, but that's my favorite. I really loved it, and it had been gifted to me as well by another friend. And the mind again, this is where the mind kicks in. Oh no, that was given to me as a gift. I really like it. I don't want to get rid of it. And when I spoke to my friend about it, um, she said, "Yeah, that's absolutely fine." Because I said, I have to tell you this. I've given your necklace away to somebody, and she went, "Yeah, tell me more." And I went, "Well, I was called by the fairies to leave it in the birch." And she went, "Fine, absolutely fine." And I went, "Oh, thank you," because that was a big lesson for me in unconditional love. To me, when I give a gift, I give it unconditionally, and it doesn't matter where it ends up. If you
Yeah.
then, as an individual that I've given a gift to, then want to pass that on, then I'm in the true belief that it will get to wherever that gift needs to get to. But there was something in me that was really not fully trusting that somebody else would trust that experience. And so I quite tentatively broached the subject of this request by the fairy for the necklace that she'd given me, and it was great. She was like, yeah, I completely agree.
Oh, that's great
So
that she
yeah.
received that because yeah, I've had a similar experience with, well, gifting things, and I was asked to bring some malachite crystals to a
Mm,
particular woodland, and I chose two. And I was like I said to my son, who's very only about 10 at the time,
mm,
I said, which of these shall we give to the fairies? He said, Mum, we need to give them both. Because he said, we'll just give them both. And
mm.
I was like, oh, but I really feel like I want to hold on. So I did hold on to one of them. And that has become like, because I've kept the other crystal, it's kind of feels like it's a connection with that, another
Yes.
connection
Yeah.
with that place.
Yeah.
So maybe I'll be persuaded at some point to give them the other one as well.
Do
So
you I was
mm,
going to say, do you trust that you can hold that essence within you and give the physical form to the fairy?
yeah, yeah, I think the human, part of me just needed to be with that crystal for a bit longer. So
Yeah.
maybe it's time to go back now because it's been oh, about 3 or 4 years now since
Yeah.
we, no, longer than that. Gosh, 6 years. So
Mm.
I'm feeling it's time to go back. I was just wondering whether, as a result of doing that, did anything shift in your life? Did anything come back to you as a gift that you felt, oh, that's from the fairies acknowledging my gift?
Actually, probably because I've had
Mm.
lots of things happen, but I think I don't hold an attachment on I've given that to you, so I want something back.
Yeah.
So maybe if something did come back, um, I haven't acknowledged it specifically from the fairies, but I've had some
Mm.
amazing things happen in my life, and I've had and I'm receiving lots of amazing gifts, and
Yeah.
yeah, there are things just turning up for me that I
Mm.
don't know where they're coming from. So maybe, yeah, maybe thank you. That's maybe a lesson for me to just tap into where that came from and honor that
Yeah.
return to me.
Um, yeah, with gifts. They are very generous with gifts
Mm,
and
mm.
unconditional. Especially if you're invested in them.
Yes.
I've,
Yeah.
there's times when I've gone off the path. I've thought, why am I doing this?
Yeah.
Gosh, you know, why do I continue with this? And then I'll receive a gift from a friend that's like a
Mm,
fairy book
mm,
or a fairy figurine or
mm.
something that's specifically connected to fairies. I think, okay, great, I'll
Yeah. Yeah.
keep on the
Keep going.
track.
You're going in the right direction. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
And it's almost about having blind faith
yeah.
in your direction. It's,
Mm.
when you're connected to your inner compass, you're always going to be nudged back into alignment. Even if you start going off path, if you're open and you're aware, then you're always going to be brought back into alignment. And what I found was that now that I'm going deeper and deeper into my human design and really connecting with the Reiki, really connecting with the portals, really connecting with the elementals, now the slightest movement out of alignment, I'm really getting jolted back in. I've had some, really harsh lessons, really. I mean, part of my design is the I have a gate in there called initiation, and when I'm not on track, it's a shock.
Mm.
I get a shock, and it is a real, boot up the bottom.
Yeah,
And I'm like, yeah, thank you, I've lost myself in my thoughts there, or I've lost myself in my emotions, and I've got to bring it back to my true essence.
yes, it is a constant process, isn't it, to
Yeah,
keep
yeah,
doing that.
yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
it's been wonderful speaking with you
yeah.
today,
And you.
Nikki. We've covered loads of different things. I think we've covered everything I wanted to ask you about. Is there anything
Yeah,
you
yeah,
want to finish on, and say anything that you want to leave
yeah.
people with?
Like I say, I mean, I feel as though my next part of the journey and to fulfill my purpose is really to delve deep into this new energy that's going to be coming onto the planet, to really understand it. I'm in a huge quadrite group at the moment that we're really sharing our experiences of childhood and what we would want our parents to know about us at that time, moving, being to be able to be supported. And so anybody that's listening to this that have, any connections with autism, or children with autism, or are, have been diagnosed with autism, I would really encourage you to step forward, and I offer a free 20-minute session anyway. You can book in on like a discovery call, and for me to run charts and to have a look at that, because I really want to start blending this portal energy, the elemental energy, the human design. I want to find a way of bringing all of that together to support these people in their process, and I do think it will help me to understand the next wave of children that are coming through, and
Mm,
what energy and what elementals connect to that in particular.
mm.
um for to support. So,
Brilliant. And where can people find you?
well, I've got a
Connect with
website
you?
called Souls Education,
Yeah,
and that's just soulseducation.com. And you can find me on Facebook as well as Souls Education, and on Instagram as well. And if anybody wants to email me, it's contact at Souls Education. No, sorry, contact soulseducation at gmail.com.
great. Thank you very much. And we're going to stay on and have a chat after I finish recording
Absolutely,
in a few
yes.
minutes.
Yes.
Thank you very much, Nikki. You've been a brilliant
Thank you.
guest. Lots of love and wishing you all the best for your path forward. It sounds a really exciting time for you.
Yeah.
Bye for
Thank you.
now. Stop recording. Ooh.